Now, let me take you to a place in Bible prophecy to let you see that I'm speaking the truth. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 1, the space shuttle. And I'm going to take you through the four beasts. These four beasts were spoken of throughout Revelation. The four beasts is the space shuttle that God used as a word to speak to us. We used them as the four beasts who had went upon the brink of the earth. Beasts is creatures of war. Beasts is predators. So these is the synagogue of Satan. These are the revelation of Satan. Yeah, man. That tells you what became what these things did. Let's go on. I said Ezekiel chapter 1, didn't it? Yeah. It's after Jeremiah. Let me get you to this part, okay? This was during the captive Babylon. This identifies the maiden flight of the space shuttle. It's reading that said the United States is in trouble. It's in the midst of the wrath of God. I just read part of this because I don't have time to read all of it. But I want to identify the space shuttle as it began its maiden flight, as it was manufactured. See, these things cannot be preached by previous prophets or ministers because these things hadn't taken place. The space shuttle was created in these days. The space shuttle was created as a two-stage vehicle. It's one vehicle going outside the Earth and returning as a glider craft coming back into the Earth. See what I'm talking about? As it leaves out in the Earth, because the distance was so great, as it leaves the Earth, it would run out of fuel if man didn't create a substitute fuel mechanism for to take it completely out of space because the dynamics of the distance it had to travel. So what man had to do, he had to create for the space shuttle an external fuel tank. Well, in doing so, by creating an external fuel tank, the external fuel tank was so heavy until the space shuttle could not carry itself, carry the fuel station because he needed that fuel to help him get into outer space. So what that man did, he created this fuel station, which was called the external fuel tank, but he had to create two booster rockets to carry this fuel tank, while the space shuttle itself rides piggyback back up on this fuel tank and burn the fuel energy of this fuel as the solid fuel booster rocket will take its fuel tank out as far as it could go. And as it gets so far over the Indian Ocean, and this fuel, solid fuel booster rocket dislodged himself from the external fuel tank after so much fuel had been burned out of this tank. And the space shuttle, as the solid fuel booster rocket, which have carried this service station, as I must say, so far, and the space shuttle fly with this service station with the remaining of gas after it's been burnt so much of the fuel out. it fly a little bit longer, and it dislodges the external fuel tank into the Indian Ocean. God seen all this. This is why I say the United States is in trouble. He's seen the horrors of this. He's seen this in Ezekiel. So he wrote about it in Ezekiel more. But in going out in this, he called this space shuttle. It had three primary bases, which was the primary function, and one secondary function. Leaving out of this Earth, the space shuttle was symbolized by the ox. You remember the horsepowers of your vehicles? You got so many horsepower. Well, the space shuttle had to run by ox power. Ox is more stronger than a horse. Letting you know that its vehicle had to go into a transformation mode in Ezekiel chapter 1. So he had told you it had ox power. That means it was making its maiden flight, taking all this heavy equipment up there. So it had to have the power of ox. That's why the big engines was on this thing. An external fuel tank and the solid fuel booster rockets was mounted on this thing from its maiden flight, taking it out into outer space. Well, once it get out into outer space, it don't need all of this. So it come back in with the part called calf power. It didn't need the horsepower, the ox power to take it out. It had needed calf power. So that's why those little small hydrogen engine was put on there to burn hydrogen fuel to guide it back down into the Earth's atmosphere. And it comes down between the genetic electromagnetic fuel coming back into the Earth. So as the space shuttle was coming back into Earth, they created a tile, a heat shield tile with high pigmentation. It wasn't white, but it was black, because black serves as a more qualified heat shield than the white. So they put black tile up on it, so when it comes down into the Earth's atmosphere, the space shuttle will not disintegrate, because it's got to come down through 2,500 degrees. So as the calf power, which is the hydrogen engine, brings it back down into the floor of the Earth's gravitation, once it gets below the electromagnetic generator field, out of danger, then the glider wings take control and it becomes a glider craft. It becomes a two-stage vehicle with a total of 6 wings. 4 primary wings to take it out, which consists of the external fuel tank, the 2 solid fuel booster rockets, and the spacecraft engines itself. Those are 4 wings, primary wings. But returning back, the 2 glider wings, which is joined one onto another, brings it back into the Earth's atmosphere. This is spoken of in Ezekiel chapter 1. Go to your Bible and read. They identified as ox power, which is the power it needs to go out. The man who was the navigator in the cockpit, the lion who was the sinister mind person of the Antichrist, as a co-pilot and watching everything the pilot do. As he's the navigator, the pilot taking it out into outer space. And the return back is called the eagle from the beginning to the earth, because it's a reusable runway aircraft, same as the birds fly. Same as the eagle is the dominant of all birds. This is why they call it the eagle. But the eagle is the space shell itself. This is where we have to go and we have to understand this part. I want to take you through this part and let you know that this is where the United States